We're doing pretty solid today. Big updates today. Big updates around Figma Variables. So that's a big one that I'm going to be talking about today a bit. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a great live today, and let's get into it. Just getting everything set up with the stream. Let's let people file in. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Today we are going to be reviewing Sam's portfolio. I'm gonna the false, but I'm just gonna go with by Sam today. But big deal today. Figma Variables just came out of beta, so that basically they added a bunch of new features around it. We're gonna be talking about them, how to use them, and all that. Because yeah, it's kind of interesting how they approached it. It feels a little bit like more tacked on than I thought it would, but I think it's like I'm going to go into why I think that they had to do that due to some limitations. So we're going to be walking through that. I just realized that I did not update to this, so this is April 16th is today. So hey, sorry, I got a little cough, but I'll try to avoid coughing as much as I can, but or little as I can. But if you are happen to be on a computer right now, you can go check out this. You can't hear me? How you guys? TikTok. Oh, geez. Yeah, hold on. Sheesh. What up? How we doing? Is that better? Come on. Technical difficulties. Fixed. Okay. All right. Cool. We're good. We're good. We better? It's fixed. Yes? No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. You can hear me? Okay. Yo, thanks so much for letting me know. That would have been really awkward. Okay. So, anyways, hopefully we're doing good over on Instagram. Can you add something auto tune while you're teaching? Maybe I don't know how to do an auto tune live. So I should figure out how to do that though. But I've been getting a lot of hate on that over the past few months, so I'm gonna slow that down. But anyways, okay, I was ramping up. We were gearing up. Essentially, let me just recap really quick for all the TikTok folks. Yeah, the basically today Figma just dropped a huge update with around variables. So variables has officially left beta, and essentially now we have text variables and gradients. Really interesting stuff here. I really want to talk about like the way they must have had to do it, because in my opinion it's a little bit, it feels a little bit more tacked on than I hoped it would, but I think that it had to be that way, and I'm going to go into why that is. So let's just dive in right now. There's also some design news I want to talk about, but also going to be doing Sam's portfolio review today. Looks like he's over on YouTube. What's going on? I'm doing great, Katiso. I hope you're doing awesome as well. We are on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram right now. So if you want, if you ever leave this stream, and you want to come back, look at it later, you can jump into my YouTube side, and you'll be able to see a replay of everything that I'm going through. Portfolio review is probably going to be about 30 minutes from now. Maybe a little bit further out, depending on how long this variables tutorial goes on. So anyways, let's dig into it. So we've got text variables and gradients now. Huge update, like honestly, very big. If you want to come join me on the Figma file, come do that by jumping right into here. This link will take you directly into the file. Looks like Sam is already on here. I was getting the show notes ready and Sam jumped in. So pretty cool that I'm going to be doing his portfolio review today. So I'm really excited for that. Okay, now let's dig into it. So I'm going to make a new page. We're going to call this text variables. All right, here we go. So let's just drop this. This is text. Okay. I'm also going to add a little rectangle here for to dive into and demo our details around the gradients. So let's start with gradients first. I did a video on this already, but yeah, let's just do a live video, right? So a couple updates around the gradients. So first off, on the fill. Shoot, let me pull this in. There we go. Okay. Yeah, That's perfect. Okay, cool. So first off, on the fill, the gradients have changed now. We now have this solid, and then the gradient is here. It used to be where down here there was like there was more of this color picking vibe still. But now we've got two different stops on the points. Yo, thanks so much for the love, Aladdin. Really appreciate you saying that. I'm having an awesome time, and thank you so much for being with me, guys. Because this is like, I just feel so fucking lucky to get to do this, right? Like I just get this is my job. It's so awesome. I tell you, I'm gonna do everything I can to make all of this stuff as valuable as I can, because I'm just having the fucking time of my life right now. So anyways, okay, let's dig into it. So we've got colors now down here, and the reason why they had to restructure this is because you can now set these colors. Instead of going from this color, there's now a library picker from here. Before, the UI didn't really support that. Beyond like this document colors down here, they would have had to really like kind of piecemeal it together. And especially because they're going to be more and more focused on these variables. Variables is a big deal, especially as design system designers, but in general, it's a big one. So anyways, let's walk through how to get to that. So I'm gonna go over to local variables. We'll just keep this collection. I'll rename it though, at least to live variables. In a year's time, this variable scale is gonna be a fucking mess. Okay, so we got color, right? So first off, we are gonna make a color of let's just put it at this red, and then I'm going to add a second color. We'll call this, blue. So we'll call this the from and the to. Okay. Here we go. So now I'm going to jump back over to the variables. I'm going to open this panel up, and instead of color picking from here, I go to libraries, scroll down to live variables, and we got the from, and then over there we got the to. Boom. And look at that. So now, once I go over to my local variables, if I were to change this color, any of these colors, can you still see it? Yep, perfect. We now have the ability to be updating directly from our variables. Such a big deal, such an important thing. Honestly, like if you use any kind of variable system in your designs as it relates to colors, every time you use the gradient, you had to basically go in and go from something like this. You would break it, and then you would manually enter those gradients, which was definitely not ideal. So this is really brought into the fold the color systems like into gradients. Now, not everybody uses gradients like crazy, but it is definitely a thing that people often are doing throughout their design. So I think it's really important, and I'm glad that they finally got that together in there. By the way, if you are just joining us, you can jump into my design file right now by going over to rad-live-hangs. In Bitly zone. So once you jump into that, I'm going to spotlight myself so you guys can come find me as well. So cool. All right. So we've got this ready to go on the gradients. Now let's talk about text variables. Text variables are are much more complex, specifically around the way that you have to set them up, right? So I'm going to bring up my variables again. And let's just jump into this really quick. So I've got this font set on this text as enter, right? So I can change this around to different fonts, and all of that is like just fine, just normal. Now what I need to do though is they did not create like a typography variable here, right? That they set it. It's the same as it always was. It's the same as it always was, which is color, number, string, and Boolean, right? So well, how does that work? How do we connect a string or a color or a number, whatever, to a typography set? We do it through setting a string. So we're going to create a string. We're going to call this our font. And maybe it's like primary or header font, right? And then the string value is going to, you have to set that string value to the name of the font, right? So let's just, here, do I have Agrondir installed on this computer? No, okay. Should we do Joker Man? Yeah, let's do Joker Man. There you go. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this back to enter just to really help you guys visualize this. Okay, you never use Joker Man font. I don't even know why I have that installed. This is Figma. I'm doing a live tutorial around their new upgraded features of variables. And so now there's text variables, which is a really big thing for design systems designers. So how are we doing over on Instagram, guys? I haven't seen much hellos from y'all. Hope you guys are doing good over there. Yeah, let's keep this tutorial going. Okay, so I've got this header font set to Jokerman, and you know what? Just to like show how modes can work for this too, I'm gonna go ahead and set this to maybe obviously variable. There you go. Just to really like enunciate how this is gonna work. So okay, so instead of going and finding Jokerman inside of this list here on the font set, I'm going to right here, this little settings cog that you're all familiar with now, hopefully, is now showing. It wasn't showing before because I didn't have a string variable set before. So now I'm going to set that to header font. Boom, baby, header font is set right there. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little section, okay? And I'm going to move this inside of it. So now I can set that section to be, instead of live variables on the mode, it's going to be desktop, right? So look at this. So this is Jokerman. Once I move it into the box, it's automatically going to be set to obviously. Now, how does that work? Well, that's because I set two modes, right? There's Jokerman, and then there's obviously set inside of the desktop, right? And so boom, there we go. We've got this all set up. Now we can Jokerman is not a good font because it doesn't have boldness or weight to it. So I'm going to move this in because I know that obviously variable does. So I'm going to do this, and let's go find like a different one. So we'll call it extended bold. So you see how this font weight is named extended bold, right? So we can now over on our local variables, we'll go add a header weight. We go. We'll call this extended, and then over here it's just extended bold. All right. I'm going to also update this from Jokerman to obviously variable, just so that we can all see from the peanut gallery, right? Okay. So now, instead of setting it from here, I'm going to scroll down, and right here at the very bottom, you can't see it because, yeah, here, I'll just scroll up Figma, make Figma really small. Okay, so down here, there is a apply variable. It's like just out of view, but I'm going to apply the variable of header weight. There we go, boom. So now it is, because it's inside of here, the local variable is set to where it's extended bold, right? But once I drag it out, it becomes extended. No, damn. Come on. Okay, yeah. I'll just call this light. There we go. Okay. Now we can show this. Boom, 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 boom. And look at that. That's text variables for you right there, baby. It's pretty good. What do you think? What do you think? I think this is pretty cool. Now let's talk about like the design decisions that they, as Figma, must have had to make, because none of that feels super intuitive, right? None of that feels very like optimized yet, right? Because like you've got to set a string variable, you got to cross-reference it from the actual like exact typography font face name, right? Then you've got to go look up the font weight, and you've got to get the exact same, the font weight value that's listed here. And all of that is through strings, which does not autofill or autocomplete, right? I literally have to type it out verbatim, right? And if you mistype it, it breaks and it doesn't work, right? Well, let's just talk about just this font, obviously, right? This font is called obviously. There is compressed bold. There's compressed, condensed, narrow, thin, wide, extended, compressed, condensed. And so like we've got italic as a little variant, and we've also got a weight levels to it as well, even inside of that same like grouping, right? So all of that stuff is hard to calculate just inside of obviously. But then let's go to like Nunito, which only has light, regular, bold, black. It's got extra, it's got all that same set for italic as well. So you could see why they had to really like open up the door for for like like basically just like blank slate. You've got to enter it right, and it's on you to figure it out. But it's also because like every font family is completely different, and the way that the foundries create those fonts, like the naming conventions and everything that they have in there, those are all very different for everybody, right? And so for every single font. So that's where like they really, I'm sure that they've tried to figure it out, I'm sure, but they probably were like, damn, this is just like too complex, and we really want to ship something, so let's fucking get it out because damn, this we need it. So I bet you $1 million. Not really. That's probably what happened behind the scenes. Yeah, somebody Alessandro over on TikTok asked about font sizes. Let's do font sizes. So I'm going to go ahead and create a local variable of font size, which is a number, right? So we'll call it header size. Okay. So on mobile, it's going to be 24. On desktop, it's going to be 40. Tablet, it'll be 32. Right. Okay. So then we go over here. Instead of setting an exact number or typing out an exact number, we scroll down till we get to the cog button, and now we've applied the variable. Did it? Oh, okay. There you go. Header size. Boom. Moving it in. Look at that. So automatically, once you move it into a new section, it's going to it's going to go from one font to a different font, and then from one font weight to a different font weight, and then one size to a different size as well. So you can see how all these stack together, and it takes a bit of time to set up. But also too, like when you're a design systems designer, it's worth that setup, right? You've just got to be like much more intentional than you would think on like the autofill and the search and all that stuff. And I'm sure all that stuff's coming, right? But like also when it does come, is there going to be a new variable set, right? I don't know if it's worth opening up the door for a typography variable like type, right? Because it's because then you've got to basically have two properties inside of that one variable, right? Because you've got the font and then the font weight, right? Because those are both tied together. So that also allows it to get broken out to like as separate items. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll ever autofill, right? Unless there's a way to say, hey, this string is a font name, right? And then even then, it's like, yeah, it kind of opens up the can of worms of like, well, where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? Crypto Gurk over on TikTok. Yeah, I'm missing Stranded as well. So what's my TikTok username? It is Rad Nolan without the underscore. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Dev team will be happy about this. Hell yeah. They also had some dev mode features. I was like kind of zoned out. I was like working on something, so I didn't get to see the demo properly. So I'll probably make a video about that as well. But it looked like it was a big update as well around design systems specifically. So yeah, how we doing, everybody? That was a great tutorial live talking about text variables and also talking about gradient variables as well. So we've got the ability to stack our variable colors inside of this as well. So just honestly, very big important stuff today. Big important updates that happened, and I'm really excited to see all of it come to light, because it was kind of one of those things where you knew right away that all of this was needed, and so now we've got it. That I'm sure it just took a bit of extra time. So yeah, okay. Going back to the show notes, I always try to figure out a tutorial to do, and I think tomorrow the tutorial I'm going to do is walking through my Figma Micro Creator by Work Louder and Figma. Honestly, it's like a really dope keyboard, and I've used it so much that I really need to, I actually, like, when I go to my studio, which I'm at right now, I like have to unplug it and bring it with me. I need like a little carrying case for it because it's so awesome. But yeah, I know they're gonna be shipping out soon, so would love to be able to like walk you through my keyboard setup, because that's I basically got it and it was like fully from scratch, like fully empty, and I had to input every single one kind of thing. So that was yeah, so I'll probably be doing that tomorrow. Would love your thoughts on that if you think I should do anything else. But Any questions at all? Usually I kind of take a little moment to do a little like AMA chat, and yeah, I just realized it didn't switch over the titles, so that's cool. But yeah, anybody got any questions for me? I've got a yeah, I've got some big work going on lately around my content game. Last week I was out of town traveling to New York City. It was my first time in New York actually, but it was a nice visit. I did come back with a little bit of a scratchy throat though, so and it's starting to build up. So hopefully I don't get sick. I'm like fingers crossed because I've been sick a lot lately because I've got young daughters and they come home from school with their sicknesses and get the entire family stuck to it. Oh, sorry. Okay. Cool. Okay. Here we go. So we've got we've got the some design news that I wanted to chat about for a sec. Pretty interesting thing. So I kind of just like looked for design news in the morning, and if there's anything interesting, I'll throw it in. And so it was kind of funny. They McDonald's recently did this thing, like this little mockumentary thing where basically they came out and did this like they walked through and we're trying to figure out the origin of the hamburger menu icon. So I thought it was really funny. So I'm gonna turn on the volume. Currently, this guy, he's looking for the person who came up with like the hamburger menu icon and was like, where is it coming from? Here we go.
Yes, may I help you? I'm busy. I'm in a meeting. Will you tell me, are you Mr. Lauren Cox? Yes. May I know where are you? My name is Kaitsu, and we came from Finland to ask you a few questions. Are you filming me? Why have you been in hiding? I haven't been in hiding. I've been right here. Are you filming me? What do you have to say about the creation of the hamburger button? What's the Big Mac?
Oh, the face.
I can get back to my meeting. Are you sure? That's it.
Yo, just got paused really quick. Over on TikTok, thank you so much, Unag Lover. Appreciate you for the follow. Much love. If you're not following me already, I do these lives every day and we chat about design and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm gonna keep going. The board. Where did the hamburger menu icon come from? Why are you being so cagey about it?
I have collected some evidence to
Collected evidence.
the hamburger menu. This is my first evidence. It's perfectly to scale.
Perfectly to scale.
Anything to say? In the 1981, you passed McDonald's restaurants 3,547 times. Do you admit that?
Do you admit that? All right, so let's talk about hamburger icons for a second, right? The Feather Icons has a few hamburger menu. So, is this a burger? According to McDonald's, they're trying to say that they created the hamburger icon, which is such a goofy meme thing, right? But if it was truly an actual hamburger, it would have to be like this, right? But then that doesn't really look like a hamburger menu icon, right? Now we're getting into paragraphs or centering, right? So just thought it was funny thing that happened this morning. Now here's where it gets really interesting though, is Oreo came in.
A navigation icon comments at every website
It's more playful than that.
So now Oreo is trying to take credit for the hamburger menu or the Oreo menu icon. So we got to decide, everybody as a group, do we call this a Big Mac button or a Oreo button, or do we just keep calling it a hamburger button because this is horse shit. The this is a hamburger menu, and we're gonna leave it at that. Okay. All right. Cool. Just figured it was good chat. So, okay, we've got the quarter pounder menu. Love it. Love it. All right, we're getting some questions on TikTok that we figured we'd chat through. What's the great interface I use for my live? So I actually have in my live, I've got this like little overlay that I use. I'm gonna move it, and you're gonna see behind the scenes for a second. Here it comes. All right, ready? Blah! Look, you see, there's actually a few like overlaid things all overlaid on top of each other, but it looks really clean because I've got the this stuff that's sitting on top of it, which cleans it up for me. So I made that in Figma. Basically, just kind of grabbed a little rectangle, and then I grabbed another rectangle, and I grabbed both of them, and then there's a button right here that if you go click the drop down, there's a subtract section, and then now I can go like this. I can round it. And then that basically makes this nice little cutout for me. So that's how I made that inside of Figma. On the font topics, do you have a go-to method for matching fonts? Not really. There's a bunch of sites out there that allows you to like upload images, and actually Adobe Font Typekit, they have one, and it actually works pretty solidly. I've used it a few times to find fonts, so that's kind of the best one. Otherwise, I just kind of like try out a bunch of fonts until it feels right, compared to the one that I was trying to match, kind of thing. But yeah. All right. What's the best tool for creating app UI designs? I'm a completely UI noob, wanted to make an app a project app. So I would say Figma is the best. Now I'm definitely biased because I've done a bunch of collaborations with Figma, but yeah, Figma is, like, out of all the tools that are available right now, we've got kind of Sketch, we've got Figma. XD is kind of there, but Adobe is like literally doesn't even let you download it anymore. So unless you already had it, so I think that XD is kind of out now, and it's because Adobe was trying to buy Figma. And so they were going to sunset XD and add features to Figma. But anyways, Figma's the one. I've also got a Figma course, so if you want to check that out, you can get details on how to really improve your workflow around Figma. And yeah, I think it's a great beginner course as well. So definitely check that out to be able to learn some Figma stuff. Now, do you have any tips on getting better in creating designs? Now, that's a great segue into also my UI course. Now, here's the thing. Yesterday, we did this little roundup around what the beginner skills do you need to be able to get your first job as a junior designer. This is what we came up with yesterday. And basically, these are kind of like the top ones that, I'm sure there's more that you can learn, for sure. There's definitely more that you can learn and is worth learning. But in my opinion, these are like kind of the pyramid that you should take to learn UI in order to get a job in design. Now, an IA is information architecture. Basically, that is kind of the foundation of hierarchy, right? Being able to understand where the user's at, why they're there, and what they want to do. All of that is informed by the UX strategy, which is informed by market research and the business and the product strategy, right? But all of that, like, there is a huge gap between the UX strategy and the actual design, the UI design, right? And the disconnect happens where people don't understand or learn information architecture in a detailed way, because you can be very strategic around your IA, and it's definitely the way to make actually usable UI that is functional and good for users, and also addresses the strategy that we all want in our designs, right? Now, next up is mood boarding. That's a big one, but it's also like kind of like the next step after IA. So this is kind of like the flow as I see it for like any design project, especially for what juniors will be touching, is business and product strategy. That kind of like that's the foundation of everything that we're doing, right? We are not artists here. We are designing. We are a function of a business, right? We get paid to be able to make the business better, and the business gets better because we make good products, design decisions that ultimately lead to better user experience and ultimately lead to users buying things, right? So everything starts with that. And so being able to do competitive analysis, being able to understand why we're doing the things we are doing in our product decisions and the product roadmap and all of that stuff, understanding all of the context of that is kind of like the foundation of everything that you do as a designer. Next up is doing some market research around like, okay, so we've got the understanding of why we're doing the things we're doing as a business. Now, how does like everybody else do their stuff, right? What features are missing in the market that we are offering, right? Like, why does this company exist at all? Like, who would miss us when we're gone? Like, that's market research and strategy. And I think that that's one of the like the small things that would be really nice to have. It's not like a thing that you can present as I'm a great market researcher, right? It's not a thing that's going to get you a job, but it is a thing that's going to get you more opportunities within your job, because you're going to be able to come with a better insight structure around, hey, if a stakeholder says, hey, we need to do these things, and you say, well, this company tried it, it didn't work out, or okay, we can use the way that this competitor does their stuff and kind of shift it a little bit to fit into our service, right? So that's market research. Now all of that illuminates and sets up the UX strategy, which ultimately is the user is going to be doing these things, right? Which basically turns out to be the user flow map, where the user is here on this screen. They want to do these things, like these are their goals and their desires, and these are the beats they're going to hit on all of the interactions on the app. And then from there, that illuminates that leads to information architecture or hierarchy or site mapping or whatever. That is where we take all of this stuff in mind and we say, okay, we want users to click these buttons, right? They need this kind of information to be able to go make that decision to click that button, right? And so all of that stuff is where like the strategy behind the UI, right? And it's also the link that goes from the UX to the UI, and it's the thing that people overlook a lot. And I'll tell you, after reviewing over 600 portfolios in the last year, I see just how lacking a lot of people are in this IA level, because they show that they have a strategy, they show that they tried to have a strategy at least, and then the designs don't connect to that strategy, right? And all of that is because they're missing IA. And it's also, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, you do have IA structure and strategy. Well, you're not visualizing enough if you still can't connect it, right? You're not doing enough research around inspiration, around like the layouts that other apps and products and designs are using, and then using that to take what is in your head and putting it onto paper before going and spending hours and hours designing in the wrong direction, right? This is a buy-in tool. This is a stakeholder management tool. Mood boarding is very important. And then obviously like all that translates to UI that looks great and functions well and all that stuff. Now, a lot of people say that UI design is not really like needed or part of the UX process, but bad design is bad UX. Good UI is good UX, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you have good UX, but it at least will help the user come in with a clearer vision and understanding of the product. If you're able to connect it to other products or experiences that are like common in the world, they're also able to leverage those and take those symbols and automatically be trained in the product. And so all of this is UI design decisions as well. And so all that to say, I've got a course that basically touches on these three. These three are a very important part of the process, and I think a lot of the early stage designers really stick in this world to their detriment. They stick in these three, and it's leaving you as an early stage designer in a spot where you're looking just like everybody else, right? Now, not everybody is that, right? But from what I saw, there was a lot of people who looked just like everybody else because they did this stuff on a face value, surface level, very shallow perspective, and they weren't able to connect it to the NUI, and therefore all of the strategy that they present in their case studies is moot. It's not even worth talking about if you don't feel that strategy in the final UI, then all of this is fucking pointless. And that's why I think a lot of designers or junior designers who are pre-career, who are applying like crazy, they don't have that step. And maybe they do, right? But they don't present it well, right? And so that's also why I do a whole detailed deep dive inside of portfolio reviews, and it's a big one for me. That, like, you know, I review a lot of portfolios, and I see a lot of common mistakes, and I want to give everybody the exact definition of what they're doing wrong and what they could improve on, but I just can't do it to everybody. And so I'm doing it at this mass scale. Hopefully you enjoy it and all of that. So yeah. And Faisal, if you're still here over on Instagram, big one around how can you be more creative with your designs. You're good at using Figma, but I lack the creativity portion. Here's the thing. It's all around your inspiration process. Going back to mood boarding, this is where my process begins and ends with my UI design. It's a thing that, like, it sounds like, oh yeah, you just go get inspired, right? And no, it's not. It's very strategic, the way that you leverage mood boarding, because every time that you come in and you understand the strategy, you understand the IA, you understand the product vision and reason that they're here and all of that, you understand that context, you start getting this idea in your head of like, oh yeah, like it's going to kind of like have these elements to it, right? And then you get to it, you start trying to design it, and it doesn't look as good as it does in your head. Well, that, eventually you'll have so many reps that you don't need this as much. But I still use it, almost 14 years later, right, as a designer. And it's because it helps me optimize my steps so much, because I'm able to find inspiration that addresses all of this strategy, that looks really beautiful, and that also allows me to go show to my stakeholders, my clients, my product team manager, whatever, and they're able to see that vision that's in my head before I go spend a lot of time designing. And really, like, all of that starts and ends with mood boarding. So I would say, Faisal, if you're still here, go check out my course around mood boarding as well. Like in my UI course, I talk a lot about mood boarding, and maybe I'll do a mood boarding deep dive one day on here as well. I think that'd be great fun. So, but for now, we're gonna put Sam on the hot seat. Let's dive into it. Let's just jump on it. So here we go. Okay. Oh, let me flip over my title cards. Portfolio review. Portfolio review. Boom, bam, boom. Ooh, it's off on TikTok. There we go. Cool. Hey, no problem, Therese. If you have any more questions, just let me know. Sweet. Okay. Let's do this portfolio situation. Okay. So, by the way, if you missed this or you need to leave and you want to check it out more later, you can always come back to my YouTube channel, and in there I've got I've got replays of all of these lives. Additionally, if you want to get on the list for this, basically I have a queue, and I just kind of take it from the top. So first come, first serve, and basically in here there's two buttons. There's this portfolio review button, and there's one right here too. Both take you to this form, which enter your URL and send me a message if you want, but you really don't need to. So, okay, Sam. Let's freaking do it. Sam, you ready? Are you ready, Sam? Are you ready? I'm ready. I know Sam's here. He's chilling on the YouTube side. Hope you're having an awesome day. It's a hot seat. Love it. Oh, man. Oh, Faisal. Damn, I was just talking about it. I saw you over on Instagram. Now you're on TikTok. Appreciate you coming over on this side. I just gave you a detailed dive on mood boarding, basically. So maybe just rewind it just a few minutes and check out what I said if you can over on YouTube side. I keep having you bump around, but if you're still here after this, I'll refresh it as well. So okay, let's do it. Sam. Hi, I'm Sam. I design engaging experiences, translating user needs and problems into delightful solutions. Okay, cool. I like this more about me button. Nice. Okay, cool. All right, I'll get back to that. All right. So what I'd say is don't have this centered. Don't have this centered. If you're gonna have centered text, I would say you could probably get away with just these, right? But once you have 3 font sizes and weights of all centered, it starts to feel really awkward. It starts to feel really wonky, especially with these buttons too. I think that having 2 buttons like this, if you're gonna go with an empty button, you should have like it kind of needs to be more bumped to the left, right? I see why you have it bumped to the right more because it kind of needs that padding, but it also makes the centering even more awkward of a look here. Now, you kind of fill the space with your picture, which is okay. Like it makes it less noticeable on the button issue. But I think in general, if you were to left align this, maybe put like, you could probably just cut this "Hi, I'm Sam," honestly. Like, I don't know. Or like, I am Sam. I design and get, like that's a movie, right? I am Sam. Isn't it? I don't know. It's from 2001, so you may not have ever watched it, but I don't know. Like it's I think it's nice to have your name involved. I don't think it's as needed as these two. So I would say if you're going to cut one, cut the "Hi, I'm Sam," and then left align this a bit. It would also allow you to, maybe even put this at up top, shorten it just a little bit. Translating user needs and problems into delightful digital solutions. I would say drop the "and" problems, or like pick one, problems or needs, into delightful solutions. Cut digital as well. That would allow it to be one line. You move that up top above. Here we go. Let's fucking do this. All right. So I'm going to move this bad boy up. Boom. I'm going to cut "I am Sam." Let's left align this a bit. Just redesign your portfolio. Sorry. Oh, man. There we go. Left align. Okay. This needs to be text align left. What? Here we go. Let's keep it going. Okay. I'm going to retitle this. Translating user needs. I think user problems, it feels more strong. So let's just use just the problems. And then we're going to cut digital. I think digital is good, but if you're applying for product design jobs, you don't really need to explain that you do digital product design. Like I'm already grounded in that. So delightful solutions feels pretty good. Yeah, cool. Do you recommend having it left aligned for the tablet breakpoint? I would say left align all the way through if you can. But, here's the thing. Now that we're here, it feels a little less wonky. You might be able to get away with it now instead of going, I broke it all, but yeah, you might be able to get away with just centering it now. But again, these buttons, I would say if you're going to have, 2 buttons like this, make this one inverted, right? So it's not bordered. It's background. Oh, geez. Sorry. There we go. Whee. Okay, there we go. Color pick. I'm just tearing up the site now, making everything wrong. You see what I'm doing though, right? So I would say where is that text? There you go. Damn. Okay. Sheesh. There you go. So I would say go like this, then put the border on this bad boy, right? I think that would allow you to still keep it centered. If you are going to keep it centered though, or if you're going to keep this much lines, I would say left align it though. Left align it. Okay, cool. All right. Transition problems, remove needs. Okay, yeah. Therese, yo, appreciate the follow. Thanks for hanging in here for a minute and chatting with me until you were ready to follow me. Much love, much love. Hope you're doing good over on Instagram side. Yeah, everybody's flying today. How do you get your streaming bubble to be like this? I have this little overlay actually. So here it goes. From feels like you just saw behind the curtain a little bit, right? But okay, I just love doing that, messing with everybody. Okay, so let's continue on. Where does recent work take me? Nice, love that. I really like a button that scrolls you down. I don't know why. It's just one of those things that are that like yeah, it just feels right. It feels like you gave me a better experience than just like tell me to scroll, you know. So I like that. I like that a lot. I think that was great choice right there. So check out some of my recent work through academic in though academic in nature. These projects showcase my proficiency with Figma and knowledge of design principles. I don't really understand this though academic in nature. Oh, they're fake projects. Okay. So okay. Let's talk about that for a sec. Here's the thing. You can get away with sharing fake projects, right? I showed yesterday this portfolio. This was a fake project, and I almost hired this dude because he crushed the case study, right? He never once said, like, I don't know, maybe he did. He wasn't as apparent as that, I guess, as this is academic in nature or fake or spec or whatever. So that's one thing that I'll say is like you don't need to call that out. You could feel like I, as a hiring manager or whatever, can figure that out. Like I can smell that out, right? And also don't feel like it's one of those things. It's awkward. It's an awkward point where you're kind of are like you want to explain like, hey, I know that this is fake, but it's okay. Like I still put some effort into this. Like just don't even do that because no like you don't need to. I guess right. I can feel it. And so if you're confident enough to just be like, here's my fucking UI, isn't it great? Here's the process that I took, even though it was fake. Like, even though you might think it's fake, it still is good and like usable, right? Like, and because ultimately that's what I'm hiring you for. It's not because I'm like, oh, dang, they didn't actually ship this. What? Like, oh man, like you're fired now. No, like if I brought you on thinking that it was real, just never need to talk about it again because it's not going to come up again. You know what I mean? So that's one. Is just like be strong in saying, don't worry, like this is my work, right? This is what I do. This is how I did it. Blah blah blah. Like and let that speak for itself, right? Whether it's a fake project or not. Same deal with like NDA work. I think that's one like it's kind of like a lazy thing to me in my opinion, when I see, password protected work. And here's why is like, and maybe it's like, you don't want to like, bullshit. Right. But okay, I'm trying to like figure out the best way to say this, but essentially if you have NDA work, go reskin it for a different company. Right. Like, and remove any kind of proprietary shit that's going to really get you in trouble, and nobody will be the wiser. You know what I mean? Now listen, I'm not a legal person, right? I'm not a lawyer here, so take this with a grain of salt. But I will say that you can use the design decisions that you made in an NDA project and rework it for a new thing that's a fake thing, and it'll also feel better than a fake spec project usually does because you actually did it for real life. You know what I mean? So I think that's one of the big ones that I would say is like, if it's an NDA project, reskin it. If it's a fake project, whatever. Either way, don't say that it's fake. And either way, just be strong in saying, this is the end looks. What do you think? I think it looks great. And this is the process. What do you think? I think this process is great. And so just and because you're either going to get the interview or not, and you can explain the fake project nature or whatever. So all right, sorry for the really long-winded deal on that. Okay, Cinemoy, social platform allowing users to discuss, recommend, review, and track their favorite films and TV shows. Okay, well, that's a cool little animation. I think it's a little much, but it's interesting. I would say like maybe have it start from the center point though. so that it goes to one or the other instead of like starting from like over here. Just a small thing there, but okay. So yeah, okay. So it's projects from a boot camp. That's cool, and that's fine. That's fine. And like you can explain that in the interview in passing, and then you'll be scot free. You know, nobody will be the wiser. If they worry about it, they don't. This dude named I forget his name, but he made this company called Design Joy, and really, basically, it was like the first like real big subscription based design service. And he talks a lot about how when he started, he literally just made a bunch of fake web designs and threw them up on here, and nobody was the wiser, right? And he got real work out of it, right? And so I think just be, for all of you listening, be more confident in sharing your fake projects, and just as long as you are doing it very methodically as if it was a real project, right? Make sure that you do it and finish, right? Like finish that fucking project. Do it, okay? Yeah, okay. All right, send them away. And then we've got Wanna-Do is a mobile app that randomly suggests activities for users at the push of a button. Oh, that's pretty cool. Alberto, do I do voluntary work? No, not really. I do client work. I do client work. So if you need client work, let me know. But yeah, really, I don't have the time to do I barely have the time to do client work, to be honest. But I make it work, kind of thing. Okay, let's just keep going. I'm just gonna check these out really quick. You know, I like that you jumped right into the portfolio projects. I think that it's worth doing. And then if I'm interested in learning more about you, I can continue jumping down here and seeing what you're good at. Interface design, interaction design, prototyping, responsive design. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think this is nice. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I like it. Oh, nice. I like this little resume thing. That's an interesting resume, like visualization. Very cool. Okay. Oh, you're a musician. Lean into that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Could be cool. Could be cool to like differentiate you a little bit. Always been fascinated with the way humans interact with technology. Yeah. I don't know. This feels really generic, that first line. I think that just go with this. I've been on a constant journey of exploring and learning. I'm highly efficient in Figma. Yeah. Yeah, I think that drop that first line. You know, for me, everybody's got these kinds of lines. You know what I mean? And so, like, I don't think that you need to do those. Like, just get to that juice. You know what I mean? You don't even mention that you're a musician in this at all, right? Like, even just a little like bullet point. Like, by the way, I can, you know, sing this song like on a dime or something. You know, I don't know. Sound like a fucking jackass, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. All right. So we've got 2 case studies. Now, I always talk about this, but I'm just going to explain a little bit for the peanut gallery here that when I'm looking at portfolios, I'm looking at probably 50 to 100 in a day, right? I'm sitting down and I'm just banging them out. Boom, 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 right? And so I usually do about as deep of a dive as that. I look at this in a big way. If I see an about me, I'll go to that really quick just to learn a bit. This was too long though, so I probably wouldn't read that. And then I would go back up and I would see, okay, cool, like they got these skills, whatever. But then I go into the work, right? And I always will go to at least one portfolio case study because you know everybody deserves a chance. And so even if I'm like, I don't know, this person seems like really like raw or whatever, or you know whatever, I'll still like go check one project out. Whether to confirm or my suspicions or deny, right? Now I'm looking at these two, and so this is what I would do: is I would say, okay, which one of these would kind of translate to the type of work that I would have them do, and then additionally, which one looks better? Because usually, especially early stage designers have like a few like projects, and you can kind of tell which one was like the older one, you know what I mean? And so I'll typically go to the newer one just because you're like a bit more processed, a bit better on the UI probably as well. And so yeah, so with that, it does look like kind of both of these were done around the same time because it's similar like layouts and stuff like that. which is not a bad thing. Just wanted to like kind of talk out loud as I'm deciding which one to go at. Now, additionally to what I'll say is both of these are very consumer heavy products. Both of them are native mobile apps too. I would say it would definitely be worth it to get in your book a desktop app or at least like not like such a social media app or kind of vibe, not so consumer heavy. Having one that is a bit more B2B will allow me, if I saw that if you had a third project and that was the third one, I would go look at that one, simply because I'm going to have you do more SaaS kind of stuff, and SaaS stuff isn't really social media-esque stuff, right? Not many people get to work on that UI of the final consumer that much, right? Most of the work that we do, especially early stage designers or junior level designers, is going to be optimizing like this back end panel that's like boring as hell, because that's also mostly what any designer does, because that's where the money's coming from, is like how can we give the admins or the main customers more tools, right? And that usually doesn't touch that in result stuff that much. So okay, all that said, it's not a knock on these. I think both are okay. Having your book. I'm just saying it would be great to have more wider of a net on the industries that you're going to be showing on your case studies. Now, looking at these, we've got that's an interesting idea. But I'm probably going to go with this one just because it feels, I don't know, feels a little bit better on the design. Cool that you've got a prototype right away. That's really nice, actually. So I can kind of get that juice without like I can just like check this out really quick. It also shows like confidence in your prototyping, that you can just like throw that up. And also, wow, yeah, okay. You got some sticky shit, so that's cool. That's really nice. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Very very solid prototype here. Really solid prototype. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Okay. On the design here, I'd say never do inverted bevels, or interior, inner shadow. There you go, inner shadow. That was the word I'm looking for. I'd say inner shadow is like, especially inner shadow plus external shadow. It's just kind of like weird of an experience, that thing, right? Now, for me, the way I use shadows and the way you should use shadows is 100% skeuomorphic shadows, right? Skeuomorphism is basically taking the real world and bringing it into the product or digital landscape, right? So, you're talking like keyboard, right? Can you make the keyboard look like a typewriter kind of stuff? Like the old UI of iOS and stuff like that, right? So that's classic skeuomorphism. However, we've gone to this more minimal stage. And overall, like this is like a pretty minimal design, like nice, like overall okay on that design. But for this kind of like level, when you're using shadows, it's got to act like real light does, right? So we've got this card, right, which is the featured review, right? I open that card and it's sitting here. Now, if you open the card, I think that you should really consider making this, like, instead of a pop out from this grid, maybe make like a sheet or something, because again, that shows dynamicness, that shows like 3D perspective a little bit, and gives you more room to be able to like, I don't like that you scroll through this. That's kind of a weird experience there, especially not having this in a bounding box. So you can't even you don't even know that is a scrollable thing, right? So that's one. But then again, yeah. So we've got plot, film score, visual effects, character development. Those are all cards sitting on top of the card, right? So therefore, 3D space, it is closer to you, the camera, right? Or your eyes, the camera, right? Which is going to essentially mean that the further a thing gets from the surface it's on, the shadow is going to get bigger and more blurry, right? It's going to get bigger, blurrier, and more opacity, or more alpha, right, on alpha channel on it. So like that is a skeuomorphic shadow. The further it gets, the further away it gets from the card, the more blurry it gets from the card, and the more like opaque it is, right? Now, all that said, inset shadow with a drop shadow, that like I don't even think that's possible in nature, right? Unless it's like a bowl or something, right? But then it's kind of like, well, why is this fucking card a bowl then, right? And then additionally to like character development, that little label should be inside the card as well, right? You've got this padding here. I would say that's probably too much padding, even, especially trying to get this much content in there. How can we do this? Maybe even without the box itself, right? Just use spacing, core spacing tactics to be able to fit 8.3 with the plot, 7.5 with the film score, and then to finally like the UX writing of this. I'm sure you went rounds trying to figure it out, but could you say instead of visual effects, just effects or characters to get that one line? Because like if one is 2 lines, try to make all of them 2 lines, right? And so yeah, just like that specific spot felt like a calling to me to explain why I think that's kind of awkward UI right there. I think in general, like outside of that, it's pretty good. It's got 100 comments. Yeah, see, I think that this experience is a little bit flawed. This one right here. This experience should be a sheet, right? Because you're going into an experience with the ability to upvote and downvote, the ability to expand and see more of this review, and then you're also able to see comments on that review as well. All of that should not live inside of a card that is just expanded from the grid, right? That's a new experience. It should be a pop-up or a sheet or a modal or something like that. Those are big ones. Like that's just like an awkward experience that I would say try to tighten that up a bit on this. I'm just specifically talking about the design of it. Oh, okay, look at this. You've got a full screen view already on this. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess that's a different thing though, right? We've got the writing, the comments and stuff like that. Okay, again, I saw this from the opening in the UI shot. I think that this glowiness is a little awkward. It's a little too much. The glowiness. If you're trying to go neon, cyberpunk kind of vibe, that's okay, right? But I haven't been getting much cyberpunk vibes on this yet, on this app. I mean, I guess you've got some like glowiness here, but then it's one of those things that I was talking about earlier about this idea of like your UI. If you can nail good UI, that's beautiful and all that, and also has some symbols to it, right? Like let's just go to IMDb really quick, right? So we've got black and white experience, that's fine, but I don't really see much like cyberpunky vibes, right? And maybe you're trying to go with that, but it feels tacked on. If that's the case, it feels tacked on to the to this app. Sorry, it feels tacked on to this app. Like this feels almost more like crypto vibes, right? With these gradients like this. And the glowiness and all that, like the bright colors on these. Additionally to, we're talking color application here. The upvote, downvote, and then comments. All of those have 3 different colors, which feels a little awkward to me. It feels like like those the primary actions, right? Every card, every section has a primary action. Every page has a primary action, right? What do we want the user to do right now, right? Do we want them to search? Probably, because that's like the most in your face. We've got recommended. Now, okay, so cool. The layout's all right as far as that goes, right? Now, inside of each section, though, we want specific like drivers to get them to call them into action, right? Post a review, start a discussion, edit watch list. Those are great call outs there. I think that this section is a winning section. Then we've got the card itself, right? Post a review about any film. You've got basically a repeat of the header. Post a review, and then literally post a review. Same here. Start a discussion, share and discuss. Like, I would say be cognizant of the copy that you're doing here inside of these cards, because it also, you could do post a review, and then just have any film or television show. Or, also, do you even need that subheader, right? If you don't, then you can make the text a little bit bigger, make the icon a little bit bigger, make these into like tall cards instead of wide cards. And then now you've got a whole different layout, right? And so this is what I was trying to say earlier, where every page has a primary action and secondary actions that we want the user to go do. Every section has that as well, and then every card itself has that too. And so like you need to kind of like layer each one on that note. And because of that, and with all that in mind, like having this be teal, this be orange, this be teal, this be purple, this be purple. The color application doesn't feel very intentional on this, and it feels and also too, it's not intentional because the upvote, downvote, and viewing other people's comments are pretty secondary, right, to what is the review that White Lotus gave them, right? This 7.5 is almost lost. Maybe it deserves to be on its own line, right? And then maybe this gets dropped after 2 lines instead of 3, and it makes it worth like a view more, right? To open that up. And so then now you've got a whole card that's very focused around driving the users towards a thing, right? And this is what I was like, I mean, I could go at length on all of this, but essentially that's a big thing around color application is be very conservative on your colors and save it for those like really, really more like the most important thing about this page, section, and card, right? And make those decisions at every level, page, section, and card, right? Okay. Now, all that in mind, we've got, these glowy buttons, going back to these glowy buttons. So, so the colors now are not carrying over, right? So we've got edit watch list. That's an orange icon. Well, now we go into the Harry Potter show and the watch list button is purple, which, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But it's like those little things that I'm going to pick up on pretty much right away as a hiring manager in the design world, because I'm looking for somebody who's a systemized UI designer, right? Like when it comes to UI, they need to be a bit systemized through that training of our users, right? If you're going to say edit watch list is orange, make sure that every single time that edit watch list or that watch list is a thing, it should be orange, right? And then I think that knowing that these like a positive rating versus a negative rating should also have some mindfulness around the colors. Knowing that orange is used in other areas, don't use orange. Maybe use red, or maybe just use white, and then it only turns green when it's good, right? Or something like that. So just like little color application stuff there. Now, okay, finally gonna get to these buttons. I think drop the glow, because the cyberpunk vibe is not really playing too much. And cyberpunk vibes, like let's just go to Dribble. Cyberpunk product design. So, a lot of where cyberpunky kind of stuff, and it's kind of Web3 a bit too, but it's like, it's very, you think that their glow is standing out, right? But really, like, you look at all these designs here, and it's very like stark in their designs, and then there's pops of color, you know what I mean? And you can get neon with it as you want, but I don't think that the buttons are the right place to be neon with it. So okay, I'll leave it there. I'll finally leave it there. Basically, drop the glows, and consider different color application on those. Okay, all right. Cool to see these. Saying the carryover from the home screen, that's a nice thing to see. So like, so it shows that you're a bit systemized, like from screen to screen or on the flow level is a big deal. So that's cool. I really like this prototype animation that you did here. I don't even, I would have to think on how you even did that, but very interesting on this little bar that happens here. Yeah. Just pretty cool. I'd say that's worth putting in, and it shows your prototyping chops, which I'm already feeling a lot in a good way. Cool. Okay. Cool. Cool. Okay. I've beaten the dead horse on this enough. Overall, I think the design's okay. I think some of the UX on the Zoom level kind of stuff needs a little bit of a retouch. So, okay. Did that. So I would have probably done all of that in like a minute or two, like gone through and been like, oh, okay, yep. Oh, wait, the orange isn't connected. What, okay. So now we're going to go look at the case study. And to be honest with you, when I'm looking at portfolios, that is what I like to do. I like to go look at the end stuff first, like prototype or whatever. That way I'm like, okay, what is the end thing? Okay, got it. Now let's go look at the strategy and see how that connects. Like, do I feel that strategy in the designs that I just looked at a second ago? You know what I mean? Because ultimately that's what the user is going to have, right? The user is going to see the end result, and then hopefully there was a strategy behind it. And was that strategy successful or not? Now I'm trying to make a decision on that, and maybe there is, maybe it's not. Let's see what it is. So, okay. Oh, super cool. Wow, okay. That's pretty cool. I like this. I've never seen that before, I don't think. That's really nice. I would say if you went to the trouble to do this, where basically you've got this like kind of table of constants out, right? I'd say that should definitely stick with you, or maybe an ability to view the menu as it scrolls with you somehow. Because honestly, that's really nice. It's really nice to see the table of contents like that. I've never seen that, so that's really cool. Okay, cool. Sorry for the cough. Reading through, love movies. I'm always looking for something. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. But sometimes it can be tough to keep track of those recommendations. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, I think that maybe consider making this whole line that orange, because that orange, like, it helps this whole paragraph stand out. Like, and the best part about that is it came from a problem, right? Every time that we're designing anything, it's because there's a problem with something, right? Whether the problem is to do with the feature that was already shipped and hey, it's not working, we need to rework it, or it's hey, users are having this problem and there's a gap in the market and that's what we're going to go design for. Like, all of those things are reasons why we jump into design, and that's what I love to see in a case study is knowing that there's a problem and then like having that problem be like contextualized throughout the whole thing. Okay. Streaming service subscriptions have nearly doubled. Okay. All streaming service out there, it's hard to keep track of it. All right, yeah. Okay, so further expanding on the problem. So that's cool. That's cool to see. Cool. All right. User interviews and surveys. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I like the visualizations on these. I think that the layout just like it feels a bit big. Like, it feels almost like there should be some padding on the sides. And okay, I guess I am viewing it on a small browser window. But yeah, I mean, it's not a knock. It's not like I'm not going to hire you because you didn't do your case study design right. Like, it's just one of those things though, where if you can nail every aspect of every step, right? So, when I'm looking at your case study, if I'm continually impressed with the design and the way that you visualized it, like, that's almost like a second, like it's almost like a second thing on top of it where, okay, if I like the UI and they just crushed it on the presentation of why they made that UI, it's kind of like a almost guarantee interview for me, because it shows that not only can you design something, you can break down why it is in a visual way and then sell the shit out of your work. You know what I mean? And so that's just why I'm bringing it up now. It's not like a knock, and it's probably not even like a strike against it, but it would be a very big positive because you spend some time and energy on these visualizations, right? And so maybe just making them just like a little bit more cleaner, like maybe sectioning. Oh, geez, sorry. Maybe sectioning them out a bit, right? Or, like these bars don't need to be this wide, right? And actually 66% being that far from friends and social media, it just is like makes it a little bit more difficult to read. So I think that this whole section could be half the screen and then would allow room for this one, which again Rotten Tomatoes being that far from 40%, you could do a side by side visualization. It would be really dope. So yeah, okay. All right. Cool. What's the websites do you find? All right. And yeah, anyways, I like this whole section. I think that it's condensed enough to make it where I can skim it and understand it. It is visualized well, and it shows that you've done some market research, all of which are big pluses. So again, just talking about like visualizing these just a little bit better to really nail it and be like, hell yeah, this looks really cool. Yeah, because like I'm reading 100 of these a day, or as a person hiring, if I'm hiring, I'm like looking at 100 of these, right? And so like when somebody stands out on not only their design of the project, but also like the case study itself, it makes it so much more fun. It makes me want to keep scrolling. And so like if you can get somebody to just go all the way to the bottom, you've won. You know what I mean? Like, and so yeah, so it's worth bringing up. Seeing that our users are already using other platforms to influence their design decisions or decision process, it was important to see what strengths they had as well as their weaknesses. Okay. Cool. Okay, so yeah, you jumped into the market research, which is great, even in a bigger way. So that's cool. Honestly, this would have probably been good enough, but yeah, I love to see the breakout like that. I think again too, like these feel a bit long for me, and okay, cool. I'm gonna just go to the biggest break point then, cause yeah, can I like zoom out maybe? There you go. That's cool. Okay, cool. Viewing it like it should be viewed, I guess. So that's cool. Okay. Yeah, so that feels pretty good. Don't stress about the responsiveness stuff. I would say though, this is still there. This is still a concern, right? Because it's too wide, and you could fit all of this information next to this information, and it would be more impactful. So, which you kind of did here, right? You were able to put the good stuff, not so good stuff, along with the shot. So yeah, this is a good section, really good section here. I think I love to see this stuff too. So that's cool. Yeah, great. That's a great starting point. Users need a more social way to track their movie and television recommendations. Okay. Oh, cool. Loving the glows around. See, you can put glows here, right? Make sure that when you're doing it in your actual UI, like that it's going to put you in a certain box, right? Which has an effect on the my opinion of the design or whatever. You know what I mean? Just like be cognizant of that, I guess. So logged in. Yeah, cool. This is a very nice visualization of the general flow. So cool. Wireframes. Yeah. Nice. And having seen the prototype, seeing this now feels good. Like I could see that the wireframes educated the design, so that's cool. Okay. All right. Multiple components. Yep. And I was already feeling the components, so that's cool that you call it out here and visualize that. So that's nice. That's a nice one. Yeah, really great screens so far. The way you're demoing the work is really great. Cool. Yeah. I like that shot. I actually have that on my portfolio. Cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of just like thinking through. I'm not talking too much. Because in general, like I think the way you're laying this out, explaining everything in detail, you're doing a great job of it. I don't know if you need to go 7 high fidelity frames were created. I would just say like, here's the high fidelity or something like that, because the other thing too is like you can kind of make this look bigger than it is if you wanted to, right? Like that prototype that you made feels very all encompassing. It feels like you've got a lot already of screens in there. It feels like more than 7. So you don't need to say 7, right? make me think 30, right? And not, you know, you don't need to be like fake or you know, misleading, but I don't think you need to call out the 7. Um, it's not a necessary one. But I do think that you let the work speak for itself here a bit in a good way. So good job on that. The prototype. The designs below depict part of the flow user would take. Okay. Yeah, nice. Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny. Like even just seeing this, the way that you demoed this makes me feel pretty confident that you would be confident doing red lines and stuff around, you know, bringing, you know, sharing your designs to developers. So I think like nailed it with this with all these demos. You did a great job of like breaking each one down. Um, accessibility checks. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know if this is needed. I don't know if this is needed. It's like it's a nice one, you know. It's a nice to have. But here's the thing: if you're coming onto my product team, you're never gonna make a color decision. You know what I mean? As a junior designer, you're never gonna make a color decision. You know, what you are gonna do is you're gonna say, yeah, we like, oh, I'll use this color from the system, or these other designs use these colors, so I'm gonna use those same colors, right? Like, and so like it's a nice one that it's like, oh, he thinks about accessibility, but then really it kind of is, it falls flat a little bit because it's almost like, yeah, like, oh, okay, like, yeah, not really needed to call out in this big of a way, you know. Again, it wouldn't be a knock though, right? It's just kind of like it doesn't do anything more to help me out, especially that being like kind of the endpoint shot. You know, you really should be considering accessibility before you get to the end. So yeah, so I would say jump into if you're gonna do this, jump into it up here where you talk about the branding, right? Be like, we did color accessibility checks to make sure that we were good. Like that's enough of a line, and it would stand out at that point and be like, okay, cool, they thought about it at the right time, and yeah, cool. So the process creating Cinemoy. How do you say it? Cinemoy? Cinemi? Sorry. Like we? No? Is that no? French we? You know? No. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Looking forward, deeper customization. Cool. Okay. I always like to see this, like the you know, what I like, a reflective of like reflection on like what I did and what I think I could have done better. Yeah. Create the poster. All right. Yeah, and I think it's good. I think it's yeah, I think that's good. It's nice to see those points as well. So yeah, I mean overall, the case study itself is good. Is really good. I'd say keep this structure to it. However, I would say that the design itself is almost there. The prototyping was really great. It was a standout for me. But the design decisions and the UX needed just a little bit more massaging. And yeah, I think that's the only detriment to this project is like the actual work, which, you know, kind of sounds like, well, damn, that's a lot of work. But you also were pretty close. You know what I mean? Like overall, the designs are pretty good. It's really just like the way that you're using color, the way that you're, you know, using glows and shadows, and then just some of the decisions around like the contextualization of the information, right? Like character development stuck with that 8.3. You know, like how can we make that even more of a sticky thing? Like 8.3 is character development, right? Like it doesn't need to be like separate from the card, right? Because everything is context, right? And actually going really quickly back, like, you know, you're basically doing text then text, right? There should be text then divider because you've got a divider and then text, right? Now you could drop this box altogether, use spacing a little bit bigger, and then you like, and then at that point, I'm not even making any comments, right? Maybe just move that character development closer to that 8.3. But I think that it should be closer because it's contextually connected, right? So I think that's some of the issues that I have with it is the IA is just a little bit off on some of these things. But overall, pretty good, man. Great job, Sam. and thanks so much for allowing me to tear you up a bit. I think that you're on the way in a big way. I think having the prototyping chops are really solid. So keep going with that, and maybe find ways to like video these interactions, right? Like video scrolling and having a sticky header, right? Like even just that, and then like scroll back up, right? Like that, it could just be like a loop GIF or video or something, and that would be one of those like things that make that case study even more punchy, because you've got these, which is cool, and then like maybe instead of the 7 high fidelity frames, it's like a few of those shots where it just shows some of those interactions. I think that could be like put a bow on it down here where it's like, okay, hell yeah, like they presented this really well. So yeah, hope that makes sense. Hope you guys even beyond just Sam got some value out of that. I had some fun on that one. I think it's really cool to see all of you guys and the work that you're doing. I think especially coming from a boot camp and those fake projects, like I think that's cool. Like you're on the way for sure. So just keep going, and and keep just tightening up like the little things and being a little bit more intentional on that IA. So yeah. Any last minute questions? Got like 5 more minutes to just chill and chat. So there was a few more over on. Is the focus on designing SaaS tools or making work easier or faster in the tool for people working like productivity and all? Okay, hey Rupesh, if you're still here over on YouTube asking, is designing for SaaS, is it basically making the work easier or faster in the tool? Yeah, here's the thing: SaaS is always is like a constant thing that's always like. There's a million things that you have to do in a SaaS tool, right? There's pricing pages, there's the onboarding experience, there's the features themselves, and then there's the management of those features, right? And like all of that was painted with a broad brush. A lot of those are teams of teams, right? And on bigger projects, right, or products. And so I think that's the one thing that you're doing as a designer on a SaaS tool is you are taking stuff that's already there and then optimizing it slightly, right? That's what product teams do is they are just making everything 1% better is the idea all the time. And so a lot of it's not super sexy work where you're going to rework a whole end user or end consumer flow. If you're working at a corporate environment, you're probably going to jump in to more difficult challenges that don't really affect most of the people but might affect some of the big whale customers that you have or that the company has. And so I think that's what most of the work is. And so that's also why it's really nice to see an admin panel, because it's really hard to make data entry fun. It's really hard to make settings panels fun. And you don't need to make them fun, but making them nice to use is still it's still a really nice thing to have. So Simon over on TikTok, what is with the unicorns? Yeah, basically that was a Web3 project that I did, launched it back in 2021, ran for about a year and a half, and it was going really well, really really fun. We got an awesome community together, and we almost made it, but basically we just didn't develop fast enough. But more than that, we didn't bring new people in quickly enough. And so, I think there's a lot to say about that. But essentially, what it ended up with was we ran, out of pocket for about 4 months. And so I invested a lot as well in it. I've got about me and my brother's co-founder split the debt, and I'm still paying it off. And it's a lot. So for me, that's really where it's at. Is hopefully one day I can revive it. But it's got to be the right time for me, because it was about $20,000 to $30,000 a month to run. And it just was really hard to get that back by the end. Basically, we ran with zero revenue for a few months, and so that's where it left us. Tight, yeah. So, where I'm at is I need to pay that off and then get to a spot where I've got the systems in place to where if that revenue dries up a little bit, I'm not coming out of pocket again. Because yeah, I mean it ruined me financially for sure. So I'm still recovering it from it. So, yeah, one day I hope to get back to it. That's the cool thing about Web3 is it is there forever, right? So it's really just like up to the community or the people building it to keep going, and that's the real thing about any venture, any startup or whatever is like pretty much any startup can be successful. It's really just about like surviving long enough to be successful. And we didn't do the right decisions in certain points to be able to set ourselves up to where when shit got tough, we were like on a cliff's edge for so long, and then once it got a little bit tough, it made it where we were coming out of pocket really heavy for a few months. So, yeah, well, cool. With that exciting chat, I think we can call that a day. Um, oh, really quick, over on YouTube, Juven, is it okay to have portfolio or in Behance or my own website will be good? I think that is best to have your own website, and if you want to do your case studies in Behance, I think that's okay. But having at least a homepage is definitely valuable because it shows that you put that little bit of extra care into it. And for me, every time I open a Behance link off the gate, I'm kind of like, damn, like I just looked at a bunch of portfolios that people really like invested time into, and so it's like an instant knock on you if you didn't do that time right. And so maybe you've got your own problems, maybe you can't host a website or whatever, but other people are figuring it out. Like use Wix or some drag and drop builder kind of thing to get something up, and then link out to Behance if you don't want to do that inside of a case study. You don't even need to like host it, right? You can have that like little watermark in the corner, and that's okay for me too, right? But somebody spending that extra time to put in that effort when other people are doing it, it's definitely a problem if you don't do it. You know what I mean? So that's it from on that kind of thing. Same time again tomorrow. Yep. 1:30. I am probably gonna be out Thursday. We'll see. So, yeah. Well, hey, hope you all have an awesome day, and it was great hanging with you. Good job, Sam. Really keep on going with that hard work. I think that you're so close. Maybe just like redesign it a few times until you can like really nail that stuff that I was talking about, and then yeah, drop some of that academic and nature stuff, and you've got this. So yeah, really nice. Yo, appreciate you, Angel. Appreciate you forking, you forking weirdo. I love TikTok usernames, by the way. So, all right, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great day.